Hi guys and welcome to another vlog. I'm riding this. This is the Kawasaki Versys 650. This is the BS6 model. Nothing has changed other than the fact that it complies with BS6 emission norms and of course the new color scheme. So the Versys 650 and the Versys 1000 get the similar design language which looks very aggressive. The bike is tall, it looks mean, it looks evil, it looks nice. But you know what? No LEDs on this motorcycle, which is quite surprising. Yeah, halogen indicators, halogen lights, halogen pilot lamps as well. That's kind of surprising in this age where everything is almost LED. Okay, you get here USD forks here, which are actually adjustable. Pedal disc, dual disc at the front, says ABS here, reflector here, Nissan calipers. They've also thankfully upgraded the brake disc or brake pads as well. So yes, braking performance is good, but we'll talk about that in a bit or rather later. It gets an offset monoshock suspension like the previous generation of the Ninja 650. Now of course it is slightly longer because ground clearance has to be there on this motorcycle with good suspension travel as well. And the front tire happens to be a 120 section. It's from Dunlop. The exact tire size happens to be 120 17s, and at the rear the tire size happens to be a 160 section. Yeah, 160 60 17s. Now of course you get a beautiful swing arm, underbelly exhaust, and you know what, they've actually added a pre-cad here as well to comply with BS6 emission norms. Now the suspension is adjustable. You can keep clicking it, rotating it and clicking it. It's adjustable in almost 18 to 20 ways, but Dhanil is like, I can only adjust it in 15 ways. I could not find the rest. Well, that's up to him. That said, you get a smoked out tail light, which is the only LED instrument on this motorcycle. Only LED on this bike is this brake light, because again indicators are halogens. Tire is broad and wide and nice, and you know what, it doesn't get the adventure foot pegs. It gets normal regular foot pegs. Meanwhile, this is the largest sari guard you would ever come across on a motorcycle. This is a barbecue grill. This is the first thing you get rid of if you buy this motorcycle. It looks really big, that's what she said. It's humongous in terms of size. Even the seat is really nice. It might look like a split seat. It's a single piece seat which has been given the split seat treatment, and it's comfortable. It's really well cushioned. Nice grab rails. Meanwhile, in order to open the seat, there's somewhere you have to insert the key to open it. You would rather not do it. You can carry stuff on the motorcycle itself. The mirrors are actually functional and useful. This instrument cluster might look a little old because, well, it is old. On the top, you've got a tachometer. Here, you've got a speedometer. Everything is digital below. Clock, gear position indicator, fuel meter, as well as a speedometer and a range indicator. You can browse through this. Plenty of information. It gives you the odometer, of course. Twin trip meters are on offer as well. It also tells you what is the real-time fuel economy, liters per 100 kilometers, along with, of course, average fuel economy. It says 5.8 liters per 100 kilometers. Can you guys actually calculate that and tell me right away? And range indicator too. So yeah, plenty of information here in the cluster. Now you see these two dummy things. You can actually add a mobile charging socket as well. That's again a useful bit. Hazard light switch, high beam, low beam, indicators. The horn is nice, actually loud. Okay, adjustable levers. Both the levers are adjustable. Engine kill switch. This is the starter button. Meanwhile, I love the way the brake master cylinder has been done. Really very nice. And here's where you can actually adjust the suspension. USD forks, which are actually adjustable. Well, that's amazing, but you need a toolkit. You know what? This windshield visor is also adjustable. So you actually loosen this and then you can adjust it. Yeah, that's how you adjust it. Here I'm going to take it to the highest position possible, and I'm going to lock it so that I can curtail wind blast. Dhanil, being the shorty that he is, he doesn't need to do that. He can just manage it anyhow. Why is it not locking? Okay, now it's locked. That's again a good thing. What you're going to do is we're going to turn on the motorcycle. This is actually the horn, and since I had turned on the hazard light is also working at the moment. I like the way this bike looks. It looks so purposeful, and using the same formula, Kawasaki has been able to give us 4 amazing motorcycles of the same platform and engine. Of course, the Versys 650, the Z650, the Ninja 650, and also the Vulcan S. Let's turn on the bike. Okay, it starts with a very smooth rumble as such. Tank feels nice. I love the graphics on this machine. Let's do one thing. Let's rev it right away. Alright, let's just start riding. Alright, let's get going. Let's turn on the motorcycle, and it rose to life into first gear, and off we go. First gear 74, absolutely insane. Brakes are really very strong on this motorcycle. Really impressive brakes. You know why I love the brakes so much? Because the old Versys did not have good brakes. This one has stupendous stopping power, which is absolutely fantastic. And you know what, you don't feel you're riding a adventure motorcycle as such, because somehow it's very nimble and agile. You don't feel the weight as such. Yeah, you can feel the weight when you're turning around the corners, especially like tight corners. Otherwise, while handling it, it actually maintains its line very well. The tires also offer good amount of grip, and you know what, the whole body does not shift, only the handlebar changes here. So this is actually fixed position. Right now the visor is obviously on the taller setting to curtail wind blast, but then buffeting actually happens. Engine is really very smooth and refined, has good amount of punch lower down. So in traffic you can manage. Only thing is that the clutch is on the heavier side. The gearbox is not the smoothest of shifting. No, I mean not the smoothest shifting as such. In spite of the fact it gets a slipper clutch, still it doesn't feel that well balanced as such. Get into the gas, thrust is nice, feels good across the rev range. You know why? Because it has got multiple step up in power as such, which I'll talk in a bit. See, around the corners it actually maintains its line. The weight can't be felt as such during long sweepers. It weighs 220 odd kgs. Here we are into first gear. We're going to see how much speed it does in every gear. Revving the motor and off we go. 10,000 RPM redline, first gear 74, second gear 105, into third gear. Okay, wind blast can be felt, more so on the feet actually. So you see, performance is actually quite nice. Mirrors are decent, give you a decent view of what's around. Punch is there. I mean, this motorcycle is not as powerful as the Z650, because the Z650 has slightly more power and torque. When I say slightly, I really mean slightly, because this one produces 66 PS of power and 61 Newton meters of torque. So a slight downtrend here in terms of output numbers, thanks to BS6 emission norms. But when you compare to the Z650, actually Z650 has slightly more power and torque, but who really cares, because you can't really feel the difference. Get into the gas, it pulls nicely and strongly. A lot of buffeting happening right now. Now the performance is such from the 649cc parallel twin engine that they step up in power all throughout the rev range. So it feels punchy throughout. It's got a good low end, and then it kind of declines. Then there's a step up again in the mid range. Then again it declines, and then again there's a step up in the top end. So it, you know, has some flat spots in between, but for the most part it feels grunty and throaty throughout the rev range, and filtering through traffic, no issue at all. Very light and nimble as such, and of course the refinement levels are just stellar on this motorcycle. So at idle you can feel some vibes on this, of course, the visor, but who cares, because third gear 134 kilometers per hour. This bike will easily cross 200 kilometers per hour without any fuss whatsoever. Only thing is it kind of feels top heavy. Yeah, it actually feels very top heavy. You're sitting very high up. Seat height is 840 mm, and yeah, you can feel the wind from other places. Although this thing does a great job of curtailing wind blast to a certain extent for a rider of my size or in height. But that said, that buffeting can be felt a lot. Brakes are so amazing, really sure footed strong power. It's got ABS, of course, and what I really like about this bike are, what was I saying? I was saying what I really like about this bike is, of course, the suspension setup. Okay, now it can be multiple way adjusted, both front and rear, so you can do it for preload as well as stiffness. I mean, these are the controls, manually adjustable, everything. But once you get it right, you absolutely love the way the bike performs over bad roads. It glides through. A lot of suspension travel on offer here, so no issue in that sense. High speed stability is also good, but then you go higher in terms of speed, and then you can feel the top heaviness of this motorcycle. It feels nice around the corners. It actually maintains its line very well. Handlebar is feedback rich too. So I actually like this bike a lot, but this is not really an adventure motorcycle as much as it's a touring motorcycle, or you know what, this is not for off-road as such, but more about touring. And in that sense it absolutely excels, because there's a lot of space to keep your luggage, and the suspension offers great balance both in terms of braking and ride. Kya? डिज़ाइन अच्छा लगा आपको कि साउंड? डिज़ाइन अच्छा लगा. Now let me admit, in spite of the fact this is a parallel twin engine, there are quite a lot of vibes which can be felt. So yes, you can feel the vibes. Not the most refined engine when you get into the top end of the rev range, but hey, I'm not complaining, because then when you're in the top end of the rev range, you actually get so excited you forget about the vibes. But it redlines quite early at 10,000 RPM, but still you can feel the vibes on the foot pegs, you can feel the vibes on the handlebar as well as on the seat, on the tank too. It's got a massive 21 liter tank, fuel efficiency between 20 and 25 kilometers per liter, which means that the tank range is around 400 kilometers, which isn't bad. Hey, But what I really love about this bike is the fact that the punch in the mid-range, I mean the mid-range punch is the best thing about this bike without a doubt, because it feels the best in the mid-range. It really pulls, but because of the soft suspension, not suspension, I have put it on the softer side. I mean, I put it on a balance more towards the hard than towards the soft, because that's where the ride actually feels better. Otherwise, just too volvy and bouncy, that's not something you would want. However, you know, every time you get into the throttle hard, you realize that it's a very usable power band. It doesn't scare you silly at all. It's not like, hey, oh no, what happened? No, nothing of that sort. Very accessible power delivery. You should go from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour somewhere between 4.5 seconds, which is decently quick. But then heavy motorcycle weighs quite a lot and is priced at rupees 7,95,000 rupees, which many might think is expensive, but you know what, it's actually quite affordable when you compare it to the V-Storm 650 as well, which is again a very similar motorcycle in the way it is aimed at. This seems more off-roadable than the V-Storm for sure, but I'm not going to deny the fact that both of these bikes are more touring than off-road because of their weight, because of the tires, and of course the more road biased riding manners as well. And the Ninja 650 costs rupees 7,33,000. The Z650 costs rupees 7 lakhs. All the prices are on road Mumbai. So you actually pay a premium of 95,000 rupees over the Z650 for a motorcycle which offers stupendously better ride quality and touring abilities than the Z650. So yeah, if that's the kind of motorcycle you're looking for, this will impress in hordes. Directional changes, no problem. It's quite a sure-footed motorcycle. The only thing is, it's not having the latest frame as such. It uses the frame of the old Ninja 650. That's why it uses a diamond frame, I believe, and the offset monoshock suspension can be justified from there, because the new motorcycle doesn't get an offset. I mean, the new generation of the Ninjas or the 650s from Kawasaki do not get an offset monoshock. Instead, they get a regular monoshock and they use a perimeter. Actually, they use a terrace frame, because the performance and the way these bikes perform is absolutely stunning. Only thing is, Kawasaki's sales and service outlets aren't as many as, say, KTM. But then the 790 isn't on sale anymore. Who really cares? Because this Quacker is quite a cracker and I really like it. But you know what? I'm more of a Ninja fan. That's my personal bias towards the Ninja 650 because I've always loved that motorcycle. But the Versys holds on to its own, offering a stellar performance, of course, more towards the way it has great touring abilities and also has the mean look to it. So guys, this is my vlog of the Kawasaki Versys 650. If you liked it, make sure to give the thumbs up. That's the like button, and also subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys in the next video real soon. Bye bye. Take care.